Yeah, this is fair use, by the Act of 1976. Fair use of criticism, educational, and scholarship. I am not making any money from this. Fair use, fair use. Yeah, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyim Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and in sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, your chwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yehowadah with the lesson.
Who not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Y'all remember what happened with this lady up here? This is Tamia Horsford, a 40-year-old mother in Forsyth, Georgia. She went to a sleepover with some football moms in 2018. And the next day she was found dead, face down in the backyard of the very place where they were having the sleepover. And nobody know nothing about what happened. And to this day, there has not been justice in this case. And those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. This young man right here is Nolan Wells, who unfortunately was found deceased just a little while ago. He went out to Horn Island in Ocean Springs, Mississippi with these guys right here for a July the 4th excursion, and he didn't make it home. These guys brought his phone back to his mother and father, but they did not bring him back. So I say to you once again, because I just made this same video a few weeks ago when the Carmelo Anthony trial was going on, stop putting your kids in these situations where they are in danger. I know you feel like you're doing what's best for them. I know you feel like sending them to the white schools and putting them in these white neighborhoods and white enclaves and having all white friends. I know you feel like you're doing what is best for them, but you are putting your beautiful black babies in danger. Tamia Horsford is gone. Nolan Wells is gone. And nobody know nothing. Nobody knows anything. And his death has been ruled an accidental drowning. But somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. And at the end of the day, we do not learn from history, and it continues to repeat itself. Those that do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Y'all remember what happened with this lady up here? This is Tamia Horsford, a 40-year-old mother in Forsyth, Georgia. She went to a sleepover with some football moms in 2018. And the next day she was found dead, face down in the backyard of the very place where they were having the sleepover. And nobody know nothing about what happened. And to this day, there has not been justice in this case. And those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. This young man right here is Nolan Wells, who unfortunately was found deceased just a little while ago. He went out to Horn Island in Ocean Springs, Mississippi with these guys right here for a July the 4th excursion, and he didn't make it home. These guys brought his phone back to his mother and father, but they did not bring him back. So I say to you once again, because I just made this same video a few weeks ago when the Carmelo Anthony trial was going on, stop putting your kids in these situations where they are in danger. I know you feel like you're doing what's best for them. I know you feel like sending them to the white schools and putting them in these white neighborhoods and white enclaves and having all white friends. I know you feel like you're doing what is best for them, but you are putting your beautiful black babies in danger. Tamia Horsford is gone. Nolan Wells is gone. And nobody know nothing. Nobody knows anything. And his death has been ruled an accidental drowning. But somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. And at the end of the day, we do not learn from history, and it continues to repeat itself.
Okay, yeah, so this is AI overview, and it says that you are likely referring to the tragedy of 1998 murder of James Byrd Jr. in Jasper, Texas. 3 white men offered Byrd a ride while he was walking home, but instead kidnapped him, brutally beat, and chained him to a pickup truck and drug him to death. Right? And there's another one I read. You know how this AI overview thing, it'll change. So when I click out and you click back in, it comes with a different one. But the other one said that he died when he hit a concrete wall, which was by a culvert, right? Like a drain, a water drain, on the street. And yeah, so that's a lot more brutal understanding than he just got drugged to death, right? To smack, you're going whatever miles per hour, and your body gets flung and it's smacked into a wall. Man, you're talking all your bones, all your things, just a freaking pain all at once. And it's not telling if he died immediately or he felt the pain and then he died. There's no telling you. I mean, you would hope, as mercy, you just die on impact, but you never know. You never freaking know, right? So this is a way them to kind of dial it down a little bit to make it seem like, but it says, in a modern day lynching rooted in white supremacist hatred. It says all 3 men were convicted for their role in the crime, right? Which that's why this whole thing, these young little Edomite kids needed to be taken in. They needed to be, what's it called? Investigated. They should have been having, their hands taken pictures of. Don't allow them to take off their clothes. It should have been a whole lot of things. Not allowing them to go home, lawyer up, shut off their their social media. Like that show is called the First 48. They tell you the first 48 hours is the most crucial. But everything's in the Most High's hand. At the end of the day, says John Williams King, and Lawrence Russell Brewer were both sentenced to death and executed. Sean Allen Berry was convicted and sentenced to life. If you're a Bible-believing nation, he's supposed to get unalive too, right? If you take a life, your life needs to be taken. Because we've seen those type of situations where these guys end up being maybe the kingpin, or right, a tank boss, and end up becoming more powerful than ever. You was some cornball before, but because the fame of your case and this and that and whatever, and all of a sudden, and maybe he was a little tougher than everybody else, so he beat up the people, and then he won his respect, and now he's some person that's still able to commit crime, who's still able to unalive another so-called black person, which is really Israelite, right? from whatever perspective, tribe that you're from, right? So he, shouldn't have been he got given life, But it says this heinous hate crime profoundly impact the nation and help to lead to the passage of federal Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. hate crime prevention act in 2009, right? That's what they named and that's kind of spiritual, right? Matthew and then Shepard, right? And James, right? Because James meaning Yahweh, right? Right, goes back to our forefather who wrestled with an angel, and his name was Yahweh, right? Which that's what they equate the word James to. James actually goes back to Jacob, which is Yahweh, right? Yeah, so that's kind of spiritual. And it says a hate crime prevention. You can read more about the historical crime or historical case and its legislative impact in the Britannica murder of James Byrd Jr. article. Would you like to know more about the legal aftermath of the case or information about the federal hate crime legislation that resulted from it? But yeah, see right there, and that's the gentleman right there, James Byrd, drug to death, right?
They didn't just murder him. They physically and emotionally tortured him.
The body of 18-year-old black teenager Nolan Xavier Wells has been found. He went missing on July 4th while traveling by boat with 3 white friends to Horn Island, Mississippi, approximately 10 miles from the Gulf Coast. On July 6th, a park administrator discovered him in the water near the northwest end of the island. His phone was not on his person, but in his father's hand. Since his disappearance, search teams, including the Kazakh Navy, have conducted a comprehensive search of both land and sea areas. The authorities have not yet specified how many people were on the boat or who reported the disappearance, but online videos show that a dispute may have occurred before Wells was abandoned by his friends, who then left on another boat without him. It is also reported that Wells was originally supposed to meet a girl. His white friends had quickly hired lawyers, one of whom was the child of a judge. This immediate legal protection raised questions. Why did the phone return but he did not? Why did they immediately receive legal protection? The family and activists were extremely angry, drawing comparisons between this case and other instances where the deaths of black victims were hastily dismissed as accidents. The authorities are awaiting DNA confirmation, although the family has stated they have identified the remains. What are your thoughts on this?
You can swim down, wherever you fucking retard. Alright, how am I gonna get you back home? You don't think Mama Marquise is gonna be worried? Yeah, your mom? My mom's name. My dad. Your mom is always worried about you. My dad's in prison. I think that's why. Because your dad's in prison, we know, we can tell by looking at you. Are we getting you that swim? Bro, just so I got fucking life jacket on, Marquise.
I'll just wait.
Bro, you have a life jacket.
Bro, I'm glad it doesn't matter. It's not gonna save me.
Oh, yes it does.
Bro, I'll just find a way.
okay?
Yeah, they think I'm about to swim back, but I can't swim.
Bro, you have a life jacket.
I'm gonna die.
Standing right now.
You have to go.
You just have to get over there. We taught him how to swim.
Oh, so I can just like hold on to that.
And if you want,
Yeah, I might drown.
you won't drown.
You're not
Try to get
You're not gonna drown. I promise you won't drown.
There you go.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Hey,
What's your
Oh,
name?
my name is Marquise. Everybody calls me Lamar because I go to like Denellen.
are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was okay getting over here. They think I'm about to swim back. I can't even swim.
Good job right now.
And it's my first time here.
Oh, first time? Well, welcome.
Yeah.
How'd you get over here?
They made me take that way over there, and they had 2 life jackets on. I'm never coming back with y'all.
We told you if you're coming, we had a life jacket.
Life jacket.
Oh
This ain't even for a big kid. This for a little kid.
my God. You're welcome.
Yeah, so this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Right? Because of, what is it called? Oxygen. Iron has no defense from rusting. Right? Iron has no, which, you know, when Esau started ruling, you know, he ruled in the time of the Iron Age, right? That's that, you know, it's befitting, right?
Yes, oxygen does cause iron to rust, but it needs water or moisture. This process, called oxidation, happens when iron loses electrons to oxygen, creating iron 3 oxide, which is what we know as rust.
Right. So, and then rust comes when it says moisture. Even right here it says water or moisture. And at some point in time, you're going to go through adversity. You know, the thing, like they tell you, always put away something for a rainy day. You're always going to go through something because you're alive, right? You're living. You're always going to go through some type of adversity. A rainy day is always going to come. So, you know, like I said, it's befitting that they came in the time of the Iron Age, and it's telling you that, like iron rusteth. Yeah. So this is James chapter 5 verse 2. It says your riches are corrupt, and your garments are moth-eaten. Right. So what this goes to, basically speaking about the elite of Esau, Edom, right? But it goes into who they are too, that, you know, their pride, all these different things, because they have that, that white supremacy because of the elite, right? You know, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, right? The Rothschilds, right? The Rockefellers, the Clintons, you know, the Obamas, right? All these go back to these families, right? The original crime families, the ones who got real money in the world, right? Old money, right? Which goes back into the 13th, 12th, the 11th, 12th, 13th century, right? Because they got riches by deceit from Judah, right? Yeah, this is Psalms 73, right? Because it said, "With their garments are moth-eaten." The garments, it says, "Wherefore pride," right? See, and that's what goes to all these Edomites. Even from the elite all the way down to the regular Edomite, they have a lot of pride, right? And that's really what they are, because their spirit is not lifted up right in them, right? And it says, and them. It says, pride. It says, "Therefore pride compasseth them about like a chain." And so we showed the chain, and once moisture come, chain, and it loses the oxidation, or oxygen comes, it loses whatever, and oxygen starts to attack it, and it rusts. And there's no way you can get around that, because at some point in time, a chain is going to meet some type of moisture or some type of water, right? And we're going to go through adversity in life. And so when adversity comes, you're gonna see your enemy, right? He's going to show up, right? And that's what's happening. You Jakes are starting to realize that the self-proclaimed so-called white man is your enemy, and his chain, therefore his pride compasses him about as a chain of violence, right? Covered him with a garment, right? Covered him as a garment. Salakia. But yeah. And so this is that you can't ignore that this guy, he's gonna get violent with you, right? At some point in time. Right? Cain slew Abel. That same spirit is returned. There's reincarnation, regeneration. It returned into Esau, right? And Esau said that he wants to kill his brother after the mourning of his father. And after the mourning of his father is done, there's no reason for him not to slay his brother. But the only reason why he didn't is because it was the Lord that stopped him from being able to do it. Right? That's the reason why. That's the only reason why he hugged him and all that other stuff. But you still have the descendants, because that's who came out against us when we came out of Egypt. The first group of people to come against the Israelites when we came out of Egypt were the Edomites, man. They drew swords. Though we would say, hey, you're our brother. You can't let us walk through. He's like, nah, we're gonna fight. We're gonna come out there with swords, right? And they slew a lot of us, even back then. You know, our sick, the women, the elderly, you know, the helpless, right? It says their eyes stood out with fatness, right? Dealing the richness that they have, right? Which they got by the sword. So their eyes are always set to slay you, and also to get more riches, by any means, right? By the sword, basically. So that's how you got the fatness of the earth. They have more than hearts can wish, right? Come back here to James 5:3. It says your gold and silver is cankered, right? See, that's dealing with those riches, those international bankers, which, are Esau, or which is Edom, right? But like I said, that pride goes all the way down to the average everyday Joe, right? So to speak, as they say it. Joe six-pack. Joe, the average everyday Edomite. Because that's that pride. And the rich, right? The DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, the Rothschilds, they afford them to have that white supremacy, to have that ability to do that, because they needed that buffer zone between the poor and the rich, because then they wouldn't be able to just keep getting away with all the things. Because how think about it, without racism, right? It would be hard for 1% of the world to just rule the entire world. I mean, 1% of the people, which is probably really less than that, probably less than 1%, is actually ruling the entire world. But mostly it's because of racism, because people are focusing on things that ultimately don't matter. The bottom line should matter, But hey, it is what it is. It's set up that way, right? Because it was from the womb to the tomb, right? It was always meant to be that way, because they are our enemy. So gold and silver is canker. So really, this thing is going to canker is like another way of saying rust. It's going to, even though gold doesn't rust, but it's showing that you're going to know who they are because of their greed, either for violence or for money, right? And the rust, right? See, that's what gave a double definition. Cankered is rust, and then they said, and the rust of them shall be a witness against them. So you're gonna know that they're the devil, that they descend from these devils. That's the reason why they're gonna be the ones that be put in chains, and they're gonna birth back all the Edomites, and they're gonna be put into slavery. These elites, they're gonna be the first fruits of slavery. This is why, and they're gonna birth back, showing that they're their forefathers, right? They're the progenitor of the Edomites, right? And it's going to be a witness against them, and shall eat their flesh as it were fire, right? Because that's ultimately, it's going to bring in World War III, and nuclear missiles are going to be shot from one end of the earth into the other. The earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard, right? And it's all going to be because of their greed, and their greed for money, the covetousness of people's land, property, oil, diamond, whatever it is, but also their greed for violence. They love to have violence. That's why I said their garments are clothed with violence. It says, and ye have heaped up treasures together for the last days. See, and the whole thing is money and violence, really. Yeah, so this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. He says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, right? And wine meaning their ideologies, their philosophies, their dogma, right? You know, when we were young, we were under that spell, that dogma, thinking, you know what? God did bless America. Look at everything that they have. Look at that. The white people, they are blessed. You know what I mean? You know, you stand there with the Pledge of Allegiance and put your hand over your heart, and you really started believing in these things, right? And that goes into that wine, that dogma, that philosophy, you know. And you really thought that Charleston Heston playing that role of Moses, that's the way that the Israelites looked. And obviously, look at the blessing that these people have. They must be God's people, right? And you can't say nothing to them, right? Right? There was one point in time you couldn't look a white man in his eye. You had to walk across the street. Man, that has to be a blessing, right? You know? And with all this power and things, and what it says, and he is a proud man. See, but the Lord said he resists the proud. Pride goes before the fall, according to the Bible. But these are people who will tell you that they're a godly people, right? But if you see someone this proud, you know that they're not a godly person, man, at all. It says neither a keeper at home, right? And because it's pride, because it's military, right? Which this, like I said, this is mostly speaking of the elite, but this pride carries all the way down into the average Edomite, man, the average everyday Edomite, no matter where in the world, but especially here in Babylon, right? They have an open sense of what do you call it? Of what do you call it when it's just, well, you know, they just expect it to be a certain way forever. You know what I mean? But that thing is wiping away, right? You know, well, one way to say it is privilege, white privilege. You know, but that white pride, that white privilege is going to fail you, right? Because pride goes before the fall. Let's just say it that way. And it says, neither a keeper at home, see, and that military keeps not keeping them at home. You know, they have these forever wars. They had that war with the Taliban for 20 years, forever war. You leave that war and then you go back to war, and you was in war before. You know, when have America's what they celebrated the 250 years of America. Out of 250 years, name the years that they didn't have a war. There's few and far in between. If they didn't have a war outside, there was a war internal. There's wars internal because of things like this, right? Which is gonna happen again. This time they're gonna have a war outside and within, which is gonna be the ultimate fall. That's what made Rome fall. That's what made Greece fall. But see, these people are they're not too bright. That's what made you fall from the beginning. But they're willing to do it again, and basically they're gonna bet it all, on this micro C hip, on micro C hip and everybody. But it ain't gonna work. See? And so he goes out and have his military, who enlarges his desire as hell, right? Hell is what? The grave, right? No matter what, people are gonna die. That's why it says enlarging his desire as hell. And hell is the grave. There's 8 billion people on the planet. At some point in time, you have to understand that somebody's gonna die, right? So it's like a forever desire. You could never get rid of this desire for him to have his violence, right? Because it says his garment is like a chain that compassed him about with violence, right? So it's not actual garment, but that's just his behavior. It's part of his spirit, which is not lifted up or righted in him. You know what I mean? What was I saying? But yeah, that thing kind of call came in and kind of threw me off my thought. But regardless, yeah, that's kind of his thing, his philosophy. Violence and then heaping up treasures. Which that was his blessing. They would get the fatness of the earth by the sword, right? Desire as hell and is as death. And then when he do go get it, he brings death. He is as death. He brings death when he comes to conquer, when he's coming to do this or whatever he does. Even when he's doing something so-called for humanity, or doing something to do something that's supposed to be the wave of the future. Look what they're building. They're building these data centers, and it's messing up the water, right? People's water is coming out all yellow and poison. You can't even drink the water. So this is supposed to be the new wave of the future, but even them bringing the best new thing, wow, it's great. It still brings what? Poison. It still destroys, right? And that's them. It brings and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather to him all nations, and heap it to him all people. Hey, and that's their whole thing, They had that feel of it being London, England, where it has a bunch of different people, but then when they became America, they heap up, which America's called the melting pot, but then they overall are heaping up all people by the micro C hip, right? Yes, come back here. This is Ecclesiastes 12:10 says never trust thy enemies, like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? It's just in them. It's part of their DNA. It's part of their fabric, right? As I said, violence capacity, but as a chain and a garment of violence. Roughly paraphrasing, right? It says though he humble himself, because he's a violent man. Right? He's so he'll humble himself, or make it look like he's humbling himself. Though he humble himself and come and go crouching, yet take good heed, right? You're still supposed to look at this man like, nah. Take good heed, beware of him. When you beware of something, you know that there's danger, right? You have to beware. I mean, there ain't a place you can't go that there ain't no Edomites, right? But your whole thing is to beware. Hey, how you doing? good morning. You keep them at a distance, man, as best as you can. The scripture says, live peaceable with all men, if it be possible. Because if anything if worst come to worst, hey, my people come first, right? That's how it goes. You know, I think that was a rap song, but yeah, but that's just how it goes, man. That's just it. Other than that, I'm living peaceful with everybody. Hey, how y'all doing? Good morning. Go about my business. I'm not gonna be too into. Let me go chill with them and be hugged up with them, and let's take pictures and we're not gonna do that, man. I'm just not gonna do that. Beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped their looking glass, because they'll pretend to not be racist until the moment that they was oh, you're a stereotype. You can't swim. A black guy that can't swim. Oh yeah. I could tell by looking at you. Your dad's in prison, right? These are the people he went to some faraway place and didn't know where he was at or how the hell he was going to be able to get home. So those other people helped him get back. Obviously, they helped him get back to the other side. So that means he got back with them, and that's the last time he was alive. Ultimately, that video, and that's them bringing out those underhanded racial slurs, right? Because now he didn't have to look pristine. He could just come out with his racism, because thou shalt and if thou has wiped, as if thou has wiped thou shall be unto him as if thou has wiped a looking glass, because you're looking at him, but now, and thou shalt know that his rust has not altogether been wiped away, right? Continuing on, sit him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, right, he standeth up in thy place, right? And who knows what that whole thing was about? The somehow they got him to the other side, and then they would tell him to swim over. They were hazing him, and sort of speak. And then who knows who benefits? I don't know if any of those other guys play football with him, and maybe if this guy is no longer on the team, he can get the position on the team, on the football team, right? So he can stand up in his place. I don't know. Or maybe he feel like if he gets him, he can get the girl that he was supposedly going to talk to, or whatever. However it go. This guy, he's always looking to overthrow you at any given time. That's why it says take good heed of him. And it says when he have overthrown thee, he standeth up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand, right? Because this is what happened to the Indians, right? What they call Indians or Native Americans, right? Which are really actually, the Israelites, Gad, right? Gad, Reuben, what they call natives, But they let them in. Come on, hey, we'll help you out. We'll teach you how to survive the harsh winters. We'll help you out. We'll shake your hand, and then you're gonna stab me and unalive me on every occasion to take my land, take my goods, right? Sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, right? That's what happened to the natives, yeah. So now this ain't whatever land the natives would have named it, right? Which I believe they said they used to call it Turtle Island. Now it's called the United States of America, right? The gold, silver, and everything that they dug up out of here, which actually belongs to the natives, they didn't hand them back, or at least give them a portion of it, which that's what they should have done. You know, yeah, we took your land and this and that, but here's a portion of your stuff, but we still gonna keep the land. America's still gonna be ours, whatever. They could, they could have, whatever. But they came to take it all, and they see, to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked where therewith. Right? Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 36 and 6. It says, "Lo," which means to look. Right? Look, feast your eyes, look upon. It says, "Thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed." Right? And a lot of you trust in America, right? You trust in this I don't know, democracy, whatever this place is supposed to be. You trust that, I don't know. You trust that all is well, and all white people are not that way, and but hey, why even go through it? Why test the waters if to say the least? What says, "Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt," right? Which is America, spiritually Egypt, "whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and prick it." Right? See. Yeah, and that's what's gonna happen, man. And that's what happened to this guy. He got pricked through, to the point that he got unalived. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all them that trust in him, right? And that's the system. You all gonna be unalived if you trust in this Edomite system. Right? That's what happened to him. He put his trust in these Edomites and got pricked through. Yeah, coming back right here. Yeah. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Yes, he says be pricked therewith, right? You know what I mean? And that's what happens, man. And it says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? And that's one of that's the spirit of Esau going back into the garden, right? He was known as the serpent in the garden, which is talking about his characteristics. He's a cunning, sly hunter, right? That's why he'll correct his posture to make it look like he's not racist in the beginning, but then he like that old joke that they speak about. What was it? They say the serpent was hurt, and he told the bird or something. I think they tell it different every time, right? Sometimes it's a bird, sometimes it's a turtle or something. But it says, yeah, if you cross me over to the other side, and help me out. And he said, no, if you're gonna bite me, you're gonna kill me. He said, no, if I do that, then we're both gonna die. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna bite you. Crossed him over, helped him out, nursed him up. Right? They even say that with a person. I believe they give that joke with a person. All right? You took the thing, you nursed them, so on and so forth. You healed him up, and when you get healed, he bites you. And you, hey man, why'd you bite me? Hey, don't you know I'm a snake? And that's this devil. Don't you know that he's a snake? You know, going all the way back to the Garden of Eden. That old serpent, right? Which, matter of fact, I might read that just because it, you know, that kind of goes with that. And it says, or any such as come nigh wild beast, right? And that's Esau's a wild beast, man. He's the beast man. He's the wild man. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. It says, and the great dragon, which, that's Esau, that the Roman Empire became, you know, a dragon, the red dragon, right? It says was cast out, right? Because the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire fell, right? And you know, was cast down, was cast out, you know, for a while, for 1,000 years, and then it returned. The one with the deadly wound that was healed and returned, right? And it says that old serpent going back into the garden, right? That's what I'm saying. He started off as the serpent, but he became all the way up to a dragon, and now he's even a bigger dragon. He's a dragon with many heads, right? That's what the Freemasons speak about dragons, a dragon with many heads and many languages. So no matter what, if you find out about one Illuminati sector, or you find out about this and that, there's many more heads, there's many more things where things are all happening. That's why they could just call you a conspiracy theorist or conspiracy nut and just keep on going, because they're you know, they're the ones who rule in the world. You know? You know, or, oh yeah, you busted that one thing. Oh yeah, we arrested some people. And maybe they do, or maybe they don't. You know what I'm saying? You know? Because even like that whole thing with Hitler, what's to say Hitler was actually, you know, unalived? He probably had that big old fight, and really he just lived, you know, well, you know, not really in the public eyes, but he, you know, he lived good. But they just said he you know, he got unalived. You know, especially with the way their deception is, right? You know, that going back into, like I said, back into the garden, the old serpent called the devil. Right, the devil means false accuser, and then it was Satan. Satan means what's our adversary. He's our enemy, man. Naturally, which deceiveth the whole world, right? And was cast out of the earth, cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right, they're gonna go into slavery, right? They're going to go in slavery for 1,000 years. And then after that, you know, Obadiah 1 and 18. Yeah. Continuing on, come back here. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 14. So one that goeth to a sinner, right? And that's Esau, man. That's his spirit. It's not lifted up right in him. He's the ultimate sinner, right? He can never do anything right. Right, going back in time, him being Esau, which he ate the red porridge and became Edom. But when he left his father and mother's home, it was already had been taught and told of him not to marry any Canaanite women. That's the first thing he did. He does everything opposite. He gave a wrong sacrifice when he was Cain, and then when he was told not to marry a Canaanite woman, later on he married a Canaanite woman, right? And then, you know, you have the scriptures today. It tells you to take care of the widows and the fatherless, right? It tells you to take it. But that's the first ones he's after, right? He's there to make your mother or your woman a widow, and then he's there to make you fatherless, right? That's why they're gonna say, yeah, your father's in prison. Yeah, we can tell by looking at you. Why? Because that's a big business for them. to put your fathers, put your brothers, put your cousins, you know, put them in the prison system so they can make money. It's big business, private prisons in America, right? That's why they could just sit back and laugh at it, you know, as if it's no big deal, right? It says, go one that goeth to a sinner, so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him, right, in his sins, who will pity, right? So you out there eating pork and you know who knows what Esau eating out there? You know, they eating all sorts of things, drinking all sorts of liquor and this and that. And hey, man, matter of fact, my cousins he was dating this chick, and her mom got killed like that. Well, these were supposed to be some so-called Native Americans, and they beat her and killed her while they were drinking together, you know. But then the same thing happened to these natives, you know, because their whole thing is to be like, trying to be like these white people. And I know a story of the native dude. He was at a, you know, because they always trying to be like these white people. They was at this bar where they listen to rock and roll and stuff, and these white dudes came up to the native dude and beat him and beat him to you know, to unalive him. See, and that's our people trying to assimilate, trying to be part of these systems where they come against their own people, or they fall victim to the person that they're trying to kiss their ass, right? But who's gonna have pity upon you? Hey, when everything comes down to it, hey, the race wars are gonna commence and things are gonna happen, man. For a while he will abide with thee, yeah, and that's what they did till they got you out there. Oh, you can't swim. Oh, you're a stereotype. Oh, you can't swim. But if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. See, and it started coming out. Oh, he's chimping out. He's chimping out. They started doing that. That's basically what he was saying. He's chimping out. Right? Showing that he's not abiding with you. He's not tarrying with you. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. See, and that's what, hey, man, hey, we play football together. Hey, we finna go out to this place out in, where were they at? In Mississippi. Hey, man, you can only get there by private boat. It's some dope stuff, man. We have fun. Da-da-da, there's drinks, there's women, there's whoop, there's da-da-da-da, so on and so forth. Blase blah, right? Yeah. Talk sweet with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. And that's exactly what happened to that young man. He got thrown into a pit, and he will weep with his eyes, which they didn't even do that. They handed the mother his cell phone, dipped out, changed their passwords and changed their social media, cleaned up, got lawyered up. They even went and got lawyers and everything. But if he finds an opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Yes, hey, man, they're never satisfied with you being in the ghettos, the barrios, the reservation. They already did that, but then they brought in what? AIDS and crack and heroin. It's never enough, right? It's never enough for this devil, man. Then he started bringing in diseases, you know, AIDS and HPVs and chlamydias and gonorrheas and Zika viruses and was COVIDs and what are they talking about now? Ebola and what else are they talking about? Ticks. They talking about they spraying ticks out helicopters and airplanes, and bro, it's never enough for this devil, bro. They're talking about open surveillance of everything, put a micro C-hip in you, make you part of their property. You know, it ain't enough. It's never enough. Hey, whose desire is as hell and can't not be satisfied, man. It's not enough. And if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him, right? Yeah, he had adversity. They were there. Hey, man, come on. Come to the other side. Come on, you just got to swim. They're there. But that's the last time you seen that young man alive, man. Right? And it says, yeah, you should find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, right? Yeah, that's what they would. Oh, come on, bro. Come on over here. Get back over here. Basically, he's doing that. That's the Edomite call when they saying you're chimping out. So you know he had that racism in his veins, you know, because that goes back to their spirits. It's compassed, and the garment is compassed about like a chain with violence, and it's basically a chain. When you're chained down, it means they can't help it. They're chained. They're a prisoner to violence. They're a prisoner to hate, especially to hate you, Jake. Right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that, and then I'm gonna end. As yet shall he undermine thee, right? Yeah, right here. Ezekiel 35:5, right? He can't help it. He can't help but to hate you, Jakes. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, right? Which is speaking about you Edomites, man. You had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel, right? That man is an Israelite that you killed, and you don't even know the repercussions that you're going to face because you done that, right? And then and then even all you other people who cleaned up after it, right? It's going to be as if you done it. You know, the 3 friends may have done it, and one had done it, and the other one's covered up, or they all helped, but then the parents went back and helped and kept it all on the wraps. The other people who kept silent, all of you are all guilty. Anybody who's silent on that and know what actually went on, you're guilty, and all of you are going to face the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You're not going to escape, right? And because thou hast hated, this has had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, right? In the modern day, sword is the gun, but it could be any instrument of killing, any instrument of unaliving, right? In the time when their calamity had, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, right? And we had that in the time, our iniquity had an end back in the time of, what is it, Abraham Lincoln, when he signs the whatever, you know, when so-called freed the slaves. That should have been the time he should have said, nah, we're just going to actually free you. We're gonna give you money. We're gonna send you back to Israel, or send you back to the west coast of Africa, or just give us some money and leave us the hell alone. But you weren't gonna do that, right? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you akhwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and the Bible ball, and Kwam Yasharallah.